At the cusp of completion, I have constructed reviews for 5 more radiating titles that span a variety of genres with enough electromagnetic personality to remove the electrons from your anatomical structure. These ones are ionizing to say the least, but noteworthy enough to make the cut for rare, unique, or hidden gems. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hype my video from the comments section on your phones by swiping left within these first 7 days, cause Uncle Daddy's got a brand new giveaway for my next volume, and I want it to be monumental. So, while I dose your atoms to the core, sit back and enjoy these non-invasive selections that make it completely transparent why you should own them. You know how when you drive through a school zone, you just want to ignore those flashing yellows and get to where the hell you're going? Well, with speed limit, there's no holding back. If you don't move, and fast, you'll ironically be the helpless bug that squashed through the windshield of your own vehicle. Released February 21st of 2021, we have a fast-paced pixelated action title that breaks the mold by genre warping. 1 second you'll be on foot, but the next you'll be behind the wheel of countless vehicles as continuous action scenes are systematically sprawled out before you. Developed and published by GameChuck and limited to 3,300 physical copies, I was immediately reminded of a title called Sayonara Wild Hearts, only pixelated and much harder. A little throwback to games like Spy Hunter and Road Rash perhaps as well, but nonetheless, it's not for the faint of heart, and I recommend being completely awake for its playthrough. So, is all this action enough to keep me fixated on its positives? Let's plow through the review. With my omega-3s and B vitamins on board, I set out on this breakneck mission to test my 47-year-old reflexes, and I realized, like Danny Glover did in Lethal Weapon, that I actually am maybe too old for this shit. But despite my rude awakening, I trudged on like the good game reviewer would and gave it an NFL-style tackle. So as the game literally blitzed me, I found it to be undeniably addictive to push it to the next yard line and reach that first down. It's truly survival on the fly, and there are plenty of fly swatters to go around. I love trying to master the continuous 10 stages the game hands you, but I had wished there was more content than just over an hour of gameplay. It was short-lived in more ways than one. Rather than taboo, your deaths become snafu because it's business as usual to be launched out onto the road in a bloody heap of carnage. This could either be addicting or frankly rage-quitting territory, so I guess it's a matter of how you're entertained. I've always said it's good to be well-rounded in the way you view things, so I'm going to conservatively shoot this a 7 out of 10 with the understanding that if you hate fast-paced games, avoid it like the plague. Initially, I thought a disembodied spirit would be my guide through this adventure narrative puzzler based on the name of the game, but after some time with it, I realized the name held a deeper meaning that was woven into its title. Released April 27th of 2023 and limited to 4,000 copies, we have a title published by Armor Game Studios and developed by a company called Albloon. The spirit in the title reference is in line with what we may call the human spirit, because your missions as a mouse revolve around the gained happiness of the people you inhabit the world with. A nice change when you think about it from the typical disembowelment we partake in as game testers. The cool thing about it is that this 2-person team made it fun, void of any Plague Tale-esque rat torture, and pulled it off with endearment. I guess what I'm saying is plop your 5 to 8-year-old down with it, and it will most likely accomplish what those classic Disney films used to nail with entertainment levels and values. Now, let's take a look at the human condition with a review. If Mr. Jangles from the Green Mile was immortalized into gaming, this is the closest you'll get to capturing the bond between the human and the mouse. There's an emotion to be unlocked when such a helpless creature can in turn become helpful and conjure an ah moment. Your mouse is imbued with a charge skill by a spirit guardian that can electrify items on command, and this becomes a huge part of collecting and manipulation of inanimate objects. There are plenty of paths to take, hidden or in plain view, but your mousey can squeeze through tight areas or climb lattice, along with ledge crawling to find the light bulbs or reach a desired area, and don't forget electric terminals that you can literally shortcut through to rooftops. Playthrough will take most around 6 hours to complete, but it is 6 hours of fulfillment that reaches into your heart and tugs on those strings like a marionette. I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. Some games just hit differently, and this is a prime example. Enter the world of Steam, which up until now I held with moderate respect. My expectations were far exceeded with this turn-based RPG card battler, and it gained me a new respect for the franchise. Released November 7th of 2019, developer Image Informed Games, along with publisher Thunderful, brought the pain and knocked out a title that is now as epic as a Sumerian poem. With 7,000 copies roaming about, it shouldn't be too hard to procure. So, what makes it so epic? I'd respond by saying the addictive deck-building mechanics, along with the hand-drawn art and engaging dialogue that usually I would skip through like a schoolgirl, but in this case I actually read and gained further immersement. With over 100 unique cards to equip in battle, this one sweeps like every high-end mechanical watch should. Let's get to praising this jewel that reduces wear for the weary and improves gaming accuracy. Those slow, deliberate claps are my way of showing the utmost respect for a game that presents itself with style, class, and overwhelming addiction. This game draws comparisons to Slay the Spire and Sword of the Vagrant, and some may say there was too much dialogue, but I really feel the balance was done nicely and nothing a long hold of your B button can't remedy. Your deck consists of 24 cards with a party of 3, so 8 each to choose from. You'll be like a bastardized Robin Hood, stealing from the weak to use the strong card options as you build your cogs for battle and chain card runs together to unleash each character's special moves. Besides an impressive array of crafting, you'll also have equipment and accessories to bolster your steampunk party. Truth be told, I like me some garden variety grindin', and although it's not particularly needed here, I partook in the fiasco, so I had my party of 3 as beefy as a Dave's Triple from Wendy's. So, the game was 12 to 13 hours to complete, but for me that's the sweet spot, and I loved every minute. This one can be a bit pricey, but if you have the means, by all means snag it, and you'll be a happy gamer. 8.5 out of 10. In Germany, indie developer David Munich sat down one day and said, "F it, I'm gonna make a somewhat linear first-person puzzler with intentionally horrible combat." 16 months later, he gave birth to Supraland, which feels a little like Zelda or Portal, and calls up Metroid like an old friend for advice on how to make a game. So this old curl's the founder of Supra Games, who also published it along with Humble Games. Limited Run held one of their powwows on releasing it as a pre-order that was released in the third quarter of 2022 based on demand, so there's no specific number on how many copies exist, but chances are it's significantly lower than brick-and-mortar store retail releases. This one's a grower, not a shower, because it took me some significant time with it to fully appreciate how great it is. Now, on to the review. In a land where Gumby and Pokey could fit in as foreigners, Supraland has an aesthetic that Minecraft only wishes it had. If you ask me what game can I get to appeal to not only myself, but my 8-year-old son also, I would immediately point to this one with stark enthusiasm, and that's not Tony Stark energy, it's dad approval. I think the most surprising thing going in on this one is that I didn't expect to be blown away, and as the clock ticked, I became more invested as I realized there are well-hidden areas to discover that make traversal just a tinge easier, so exploration really became a fun and bonding experience for my son and I. It's one of those games that stick in your head for hours after playing, trying to figure out how to solve its puzzles. It's light on combat, which I believe serves it better, and there are 2 bosses in the form of puzzles. At times, game-breaking methods allow you to get to certain areas that might not be the typical format, so an outside-of-the-box thinking mentality proves to be a welcoming map to its entrance. In amidst the amazing sandbox you break open, you'll see pop culture references that keep you wanting more, and occasionally you'll get them. The time it takes to complete could vary from 10 to 20 hours, so there's a lot of content for around $25. It's an instant hit for me and my mini-me. I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. Domineering grandmas and ripping off Bronze Age water miracles are just but 2 of the things you'll notice right away with this third-person adventure action puzzler. Thunderful is one of the better developers/publishers out there, so I was extremely excited to partake in this tale of waves. Released May 25th of 2023, Thunderful and Super Rare got to work publishing a bit of a gem that only had 2,000 standard editions like this one. Movements across water or land masses was reminiscent of games like The Pathless, while the cel-shaded graphics reminded me of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Gravity Rush. So the question is, does it ride the wave of greatness? Or does it sink below its own ambition? Let's find out. Let's get the negative taken care of first. This game will take you just over 3 to 4 hours to complete, and the cheapest I've seen it is around $70, so point deduction there, but I do have some positives that are worth talking about. The gliding flow of movement, the sound production, and sense of freedom are all admirable. Also, if you're sick of bone-crushing difficulty in games, you may find solace and a will to carry on after completing this one, so it's not all gloom and doom. Ironically, that is what you're trying to defeat, is the gloom, through the collecting of sparks to power the lighthouse. Back to movement, which is really the highlight. I loved launching myself into the air at the crest of a wave and gliding free across the waters. It felt as fluid as the surface below me. It prides itself on atmosphere, and it's not afraid to stay cozy rather than hectic. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 and a farewell wave as I push forward. Are we there yet? Volume 10 is right around the corner, and I'm prepping for the best volume this series has to offer with a giveaway as epic as the Mesopotamian tale we covered today, because I'm going to bring you 10 titles in my final volume, so no beating around the bush here. We are beating the bush. So try to be patient as I spend some time with my next lineup to bring you the quality that you've come to expect. It's been a gas once again, and the next time we meet, let's ignite it for an explosion. Cheers!